My name is Mark Shepard. I'm 55 years old, but I still drive my long-haul rig with the same passion I had in my 20s. My whole life has been spent on America's highways, from coast to coast, hauling everything from produce to heavy machinery. Truckers like to say driving is risky, but I think the road is real life. What happens out here never leaves you. There's one story I've never fully told anyone before, not friends, not other drivers, because truckers love to make jokes, and I never wanted to be the punchline. But what I heard, what I saw, still follows me to this day. This happened a few years ago. Even now, whenever I drive the route from Texas up through Utah into the forests of Montana, something deep inside me tightens. That night changed me. The delivery. I had to haul a massive piece of machinery, a land-clearing cutter, from Houston Port to a job site in the remote Montana forest region. I knew the drive would take about 2 days and 2 nights. My rig was heavy. The load was even heavier, and the engine made a different kind of groan that night, like it was bracing for something. I'd recently stopped sleeping inside my truck. A few months earlier, 2 guys had broken my window on a deserted highway and held a knife to my neck. Ever since, I'd started carrying a small camping tent instead, safer to sleep away from the truck. And I always carried a small wind chime. I'd hang it on the tent zipper. If anything came close, a coyote, a person, the chime would ring and wake me up. Little did I know that tiny chime would become part of the most terrifying night of my life. Into the forest. By the time I crossed through Utah and started climbing toward Montana, the sun was long gone. Cold wind cut through the trees. The deeper I drove, the emptier the road became. No houses, no lights, just forest and silence. Around 2:30 a.m., exhausted, I pulled onto a dirt clearing just big enough to park the truck. I walked about 30 feet into the brush and set up my tent. I hung my wind chime at the entrance, like always, crawled inside, and laid down. The forest was cold and still, and then I must have drifted off until Chingle. Chingle. The chime rang very softly, as if someone had touched it with just the tip of a finger. My eyes snapped open. I waited. A few seconds of silence. Then, Chingle. Chingle. Again. I sat up, grabbed my flashlight, unzipped the tent slowly, and shined the light outside. Nothing. Just trees. Darkness. Wind. I convinced myself it was probably just the breeze. I zipped the tent shut again. But then I heard it. Footsteps. Tiny ones. Bare feet on dry leaves. Moving right outside the tent. Not one set. Several. Then a soft giggle. A child's laugh. Except there was no town for miles. No cabins. No campsites. Nothing. A cold ripple went through me. I opened the zipper again and flashed the light around. Nothing. I went back inside. They came closer. The chime rang again, then faster. Like someone was playing with it. Then I heard small running footsteps circling my tent, giggling, whispering, and deep among them, a heavier sound, breathing, slow, thick, not human. It stood right outside my tent. I held the flashlight tight enough to hurt my hand. On the thin fabric of the tent, a shadow appeared, small, child-sized. Then another, and another, and another. 4 shadows. The shapes twitched strangely, not like children. Their movements were wrong, jerky, bending in ways a body shouldn't. Suddenly, the shadows vanished, but the noises didn't. Tiny footsteps ran around in circles. Leaves crackled. Something scraped the side of my tent. Then, the zipper of my tent moved, very gently, from the outside. I froze. There was no wind strong enough to move a zipper. Something, or someone, was touching it. I couldn't breathe. He's here. Then I heard it. A voice, thin, whispery, like a child trying to imitate speech. He's here. My stomach dropped. The footsteps stopped. Everything went silent. Then the chime fell, not rang. Fell. As if someone ripped it off the tent and threw it to the ground. That was enough. I burst out of the tent with my flashlight blazing. Nothing. I spun around, and then I heard tiny feet sprinting behind me, laughter echoing between the trees. Not human laughter, something wrong, mimicking. Trying to sound like children, but failing. I ran toward my truck. Before I reached it, the horn blasted. My horn. As if someone inside was smashing it. I froze. My truck was locked. No one could be inside. Then, 3 knocks on the side of the truck. I shined my light. A small shadow darted behind the trailer at impossible speed. I jumped in the cab, slammed the door, and locked it. My heart was pounding out of my chest. Outside, something walked up to my door, breathing, long, ragged, animal-like breaths. Then more footsteps, 2, 3, maybe 4 sets, and then total silence. I didn't sleep a second that night. At sunrise, I stepped outside. My stomach twisted when I saw the ground. All around my truck, tiny footprints, dozens, like barefoot children, maybe 4 or 5 years old. But there were no return tracks, only footprints leading toward the truck, none leading away. I packed up and drove straight to the job site, pale and shaking. 2 other drivers were already there. One of them looked at my face and said, "Man, you look like you saw a ghost." I told them everything, the chime, the whispers, the shadows, the laughter, the knocks, the footprints. When I finished, the clearing went dead silent. Then one driver said quietly, "You're not the first one." Another nodded. "That stretch of forest? Lots of truckers refuse to stop there at night. They've seen things. Small shadows running near the tree line. Tiny footsteps around their rigs. Kids' laughter, but no kids anywhere." A local worker there added, "People around here say the woods hold old spirits, not grown ones. The small ones. Curious ones. They come out when someone new spends the night." I didn't argue. I just sat there, shaking, because I knew what I heard, what I saw, what followed me that night. And I have never camped near a forest again.